Okay, today we're going to work on lesson 7, which is the same thing as what we have been doing. However, today it's going to be in word problems. So right now I'd like you to pause the video and write your 4 steps to work through word problems. The first one says to underline important information. The second one, label info if you're given. So we're going to show you what that looks like. 3, draw a picture. 4, check your answer. So pause it, write those down. All right, once you have those down, go ahead and we'll get started on the complex problem today. Pause the video and try to find the volume of this figure. All right, if you're back with the video, you're going to check your answer right now. So to help you see this better on the board, I'm going to color code my rectangular prisms. So here is my top one here. And I see that it almost looks like a little shelf. Like you can tell right here that there is no prism. So it looks like an L kind of, and that's okay. We're just going to find the volume of this first rectangular prism. And so the length of this one, or how long it is 4. And the width, or how deep this is 1. And the height of this prism is 2, giving me a volume of 8 centimeters cubed. Okay, for this second rectangular prism, I'm going to use the bottom shape here. I notice that my length for this prism is 4. My width for how wide it is 2. And my height is 2, giving me 6. Okay? And so if I have the volume of each of these figures, now I'm going to add them together for a total of 24 centimeters cubed, my total volume. Okay, so today you're going to look at this in word problems. So go ahead and pause the video and write the objective today. Okay, so when we're looking at this word problem, which we're going to look right down here, we have our 4 steps over on the side of the board. Oh. We have our 4 steps on this side of the board to help us out. First thing to do, underline important information. In this case, when we're talking about volume, and they tell us it's 2 feet wide, we know that that is width. So as I underline that, I'm just going to write a little W above it. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. So it says Jeffrey's first planter, which is like something you plant plants in, is 8 feet long. Okay, so when I'm thinking something is 8 feet long, I think it means length. So I'm just going to label it with length. Because again, we know volume is...
Ms. Cornelius, if you're still in the building, could you please call the front office?
Okay, so Jeffrey's first planter is 8 feet long. That is length. And 2 feet wide. So 2 feet wide, meaning width. The container is filled with soil to the height of 3 feet. Again, this says height here. That's going to be your height. Probably shouldn't write it right on top of the number, but height. What is the volume of soil in the planter? All right, so explain your work using a diagram. Using our steps, step 2, we have already labeled what we've been given. Step 3 now is to draw a picture. So if I'm thinking something's 8 feet long, something's 2 feet wide, remember it means going back, and 3 feet tall. This is a pretty awful prism. But you kind of get the gist of it. So now, when I'm trying to figure out what is the volume, volume is length times width times height. So I'm going to do 8 times 2 times 3. Which 8 times 2 is 16 times 3. I can't think right now. is 48. So my volume for this shape is 48 centimeters. Oh, it's labeled in feet, I'm sorry. Feet cubed. Okay, so now that was, so if they tell you what the length, the width, and the height are, you need to label them. That was an easy one. You might get a problem that looks like this. And this one says Jeffrey wants to grow some tomatoes in 4 large planters. So I know that by the end of the problem, I might need to know what is in these 4 large planters, which again is like a pot that you grow plants in. He wants each planter to have a volume of 320 cubic feet. So this is labeled as volume. Already gives us our V. But he wants them all to be different. Show 4 different ways Jeffrey can make these planters and draw diagrams with these planters, measurements on them. Okay, so I know that I have to multiply 3 numbers together. Or I have to multiply my base, which is my length and my width, times my height. Okay, so as I'm thinking of this, I am trying to think of numbers that multiply together to give me 320. And one way that I did that is I took 320 and I noticed it ended in a 0. And I know numbers ending in zeros can be divided by 10 or 5. And so, using that, I'm just going to start dividing 320 to see what type of numbers go into it. So to start us off with a simple one, one planter that I thought of, so I'm going to draw my first one here, is that it would have a length of 320 cubic feet. If this is already 320 and it has to equal 320, I'm going to make my width and my height 1. So 1 foot over here, 1 foot over here. Now when I add these together, I have 320 times 1 times 1. That equals 320 cubic feet. So that one checks. Now I'm going to make a second one, and I took 320 and I divided it by 2. 320 divided by 2 is 160. And so if I use this, I'm going to make this length as 160. I have to multiply this by 2 to get to 320, so I'm going to make this 2 feet. Sorry, I'm being horrible with my labels. Make sure you label your numbers. And then, this is already 320, so what can I still multiply that would still get me to 320? Would be 1. So my width is going to be 1. So for this one, if I calculated the volume, it would be 160 times 2 times 1. This equals 320 feet cubed. Now, if I keep going here, I'm going to keep trying to figure out what can I multiply together to equal 320. And I noticed that to get 320 divided by 4 was 80. So I'm going to draw my third planter with the length of 80. And 80 times 4 is 320. And so I'm going to do 80 times 4 times my width is going to be 1. The point is here that all 3 numbers that I multiply together have to equal 320.